Yes, what is up everyone, and welcome to another update of the World Cup preview I did 6 months ago when I thought I had everything figured out about my life. Well, as it turns out, half a year later, I still got it all figured out because look at this face. And also because I figured out the mistakes are just as important to the process as the successes. So with this in mind, let's take a look at Group E, which includes Brazil, Costa Rica, Serbia, and Switzerland, and where I said they would finish back in December. And there it is. I mean, all right, okay, I can see why I went in that direction, especially for who finished in second, because it's clear I wanted to be supportive of another CONCACAF team, since my CONCACAF team sucked the big one. But whatever, it's fine, or it's not. So let's go through this again by getting the obvious out of the way and talk some Brazil, which is the only country in the history of the competition to qualify for every World Cup ever held. But some things have changed since my preview last year, and that is namely injuries. Neymar broke a foot, but seems to be back to his old self after scoring some sick goals in these warm-up games, and Dani Alves tore up his knee, so he is completely out, which I think is a significant loss because they don't seem to have any world-class players in that position to back him up like they seem to have everywhere else. Unless you consider Danilo or Fagner to be world-class. And then there's the curious case of Roberto Firmino, who we all know is coming off an excellent season at Liverpool, and who is also competing with Coutinho for the whitest teeth on the team. They're really white. Because given how Brazilian manager Tite has been lining up, Firmino looks to be on the bench behind Gabriel Jesus, who was excellent in qualifying, scoring 7 goals and notching 5 assists in 10 games, and forming a terrific partnership with Neymar. So I feel for Firmino a little bit because performance-wise, he's been stellar for his club this season, but timing-wise, it's just unfortunate that Jesus, who was given the famous number 9 shirt to wear over Firmino, is coming into his own at the same time. However, for Brazilian fans, this is a good problem to have, and let's be honest, they have these problems all over the field. Alisson or Ederson in goal? Marquinhos or Thiago Silva or Miranda starting as the 2 center backs? A midfield 3 of the hard workers Paulinho, Casemiro, and Fernandinho? Or do you find a place for the very talented Coutinho in there instead? And speaking of Coutinho, does he find himself as the 3rd of the attacking 3 to partner with Neymar and Gabriel Jesus? Or should Tite go with Douglas Costa, or Willian, or Fred, or Firmino instead? I mean, honestly, having these types of options in your team are a f***ing joke, and it shouldn't be allowed. It's like an ultimate team with 100 chemistry. That's how good this Brazil team is. So as long as they don't get in their own way, they are my favorites to win the whole thing. So I think you know where I have them finishing in this group. Number 1, at the top, which means it's time to focus our attention on who is going to finish in second. Will it be Costa Rica, who, if you remember, topped the group of death in 2014 that had 3 former World Cup champions in it? Uruguay, England, and Italy. But that was 4 years ago, and they still have most of the same players. Or will it be Serbia, who, after securing qualification to this World Cup, they let go of Slavoj Muslin as their manager and hired Mladen Kristajic, who is as inexperienced as they come because his first match against Costa Rica will be his first ever competitive match as the manager of a team at any level. At any f***ing level. I mean, I might as well run for the U.S. men's national team head coaching job right now if that's the standard. Or maybe it'll be Switzerland, though they have Granit Xhaka starting in their team. And as many of you know, I'm not a Xhaka fan because for me, he's trying to be too many different things on the field. A box-to-box guy, a deep-lying playmaker, an enforcer that just gets reckless yellow and red cards, or a scorer since he enjoys taking shots from distance, when all Arsenal, his club, need him to do is to protect the space in front of the back 4 and then give it to the guys that create consistently, because once he tries to do everything on his own and tries to do the jobs of the other players, it opens up gaps, and top teams are going to exploit those gaps, and his back 4 will be punished accordingly. I mean, seriously, just watch, especially when they face Brazil, because the Brazilians are going to purposely try to pull him out of the space where he needs to be, and because I find him to be pretty undisciplined when it comes to keeping his position in his team's shape, it's just gonna cause a lot of problems. I promise. Thankfully though for Xhaka, he's got some guys around him that can play, like Stoke City's firecracker of a player Xherdan Shaqiri, and in particular, 21-year-old Breel Mbola, who, if healthy, which sadly seems to be a bit of a big ask these days since he can't seem to shake the injury bug. Well, he is incredibly talented and a proper number 10, who's going to be needed, of course, for this team, and in peak form, because if Switzerland can only beat Northern Ireland 1-0 over 2 legs to qualify for the World Cup, I'm not so sure they're going to figure out a way to score goals against opposition that's better than the Northern Irish, with all due respect to the Northern Irish, of course. And yes, this is me saying that I think Costa Rica is better than Northern Ireland, because I don't see any back-to-back-to-back Champions League winners in a key position on their squad like Costa Rica has in Keylor Navas, who is so good in goal, it gives the players in front of him the confidence to defend with more purpose and without fear of making mistakes, because they know he will cover for them. However, and this is similar to what I said about Iceland, after you shock the world by doing something that no one ever expected, like Costa Rica did by winning their group and getting to the quarterfinals of the last World Cup, they're not going to sneak up on anyone anymore, which is probably going to make it infinitely harder for them to progress this time around and to replicate that success. Which is kind of the same for Serbia, who haven't gotten out of the group stages of a major competition since the Euros in 2000, and they did it really, really well, and they just haven't been able to replicate it since then. It's been a really long time. But with a good mix of young, like highly sought-after Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and experience like Nemanja Matic, and flat-out old like Branislav Ivanovic and Alexander Kolarov, who are anchoring the back line, I feel like this team can manage itself, which makes the impact of their new inexperienced manager null and void. So here's what I'm going with. Brazil in first, no big surprise there. Serbia in second, maybe that's a little bit more of a surprise. Costa Rica in third, and Switzerland in fourth, which is a tad different than what I had before, so sorry, Costa Rica. Your warm-up games before this tournament haven't looked that good. Anyway, what do all of you Warmballers think? Are you in or are you out on my choices? Let me know down below, and also let me know what order you think Group E is going to finish in. And if you get it exactly right, you'll not only 100% get some Warmballer stickers, you can put them hopefully all over the city you live in. You'll also be entered to win a Warmballer shirt and hat too, because yeah, I'm cool like that. Also, be on the lookout for the Group F preview dropping soon. All right? Cool, I'm glad we had this talk. Later.